Shalom, family. I'm absolutely furious. Absolutely furious. This is why I keep talking about the enemy within. And this guy, I can't believe what he just formed his lips to just say. Oh man. You need to hear this. I just had to get this on record. I'm never gonna forget this. This guy just you need to hear this.
You have bravely and fiercely defended yourselves against Russia's full-scale invasion. But as we heard today, Putin's ugly attempts to restore the Russian Empire began much earlier with the illegal annexation of Crimea 10 years ago. Putin claims he wishes to liberate Ukrainian civilians, but he denies the right of their nation to exist. He has sent in tanks and soldiers to enforce his diktat, and he inflicts horrors on Crimea and other regions of Ukraine under the Russian yoke, with stories of forced disappearances, sinister re-education camps, and torture. Putin's barbaric actions are the latest.
This is where he's about to crap all over our ancestors, standing in front of the British flag. And he's there with Blinken, standing in front of the American flag, in a room full of white men. And he's about to say this. He's about to say this. I had to get this on record. I'm sorry. This Negro...
Example of a very old and evil story. One of my ancestors was taken from their home, enslaved, chained on a ship, and forced to work for the profit of a foreign empire.
Are you going to say that?
He knew only too well what imperialism was. No act of authoritarianism is ever exactly the same.
Standing in front of a British flag.
Years after Stalin deported the Crimean Tatars, 240 years after Catherine the Great annexed Crimea, Putin has revealed the same arrogance, the same greed, the same disdain for the rights of other individuals and nations. This is imperialism. This is fascism. And this week we have been reminded of how other authoritarian regimes are aiding Putin, with Iran going even further in support for Moscow by providing ballistic missiles, a significant and dangerous escalation. Britain and the US and our partners
are the ones who enslaved you.
Tehran's undermining of global security. Britain has sanctioned Iranian officials and entities, as well as Russian entities and cargo ships involved in the transfer of weapons. And together we've restricted Iran's air flights to Europe. This response is in keeping with our commitment to remain Ukraine's staunchest friend. And I'm proud of that commitment. I'm proud of Prime Minister Starmer's commitment to provide $3 billion in military aid every year that is needed in your fight. And today I can confirm more than 600 million worth of support for Ukraine.
You see how they just spin off these numbers, these millions and billions, and then back home they ain't got money for this, they ain't got money for that, and blah blah blah, and this and that, and they make everything sound so complicated. They make everything sound so complicated, and then they can just go across the world and say and promise people millions and billions, and they get your stupid face to say this. Hostages with Stockholm syndrome.
Including 242 million this financial year for immediate humanitarian, energy and stabilization needs, as well as support for reform, recovery, and reconstruction. Plus, we're confirming our intention to deploy $484 million worth of World Bank loan guarantees later this year. And the UK is speeding up military deliveries with
I'll talk about these stupid badges these people wear.
F-16 fighter jets, AS-90 self-propelled guns and spare barrels, military boats and maritime guns having now been delivered. I can announce we will now also send hundreds of additional air defence missiles, tens of thousands of additional artillery ammunition rounds, and more armoured vehicles to Ukraine by the end of the year. But I am most proud of the unity we and our allies have shown in support for Ukraine. And that is why our joint visit today, the first joint visit of its kind for well over a decade, is such an important signal. Together, Britain and our allies are united in our commitment to Ukraine, to freedom, to victory, because we both recognize what is at stake here, not just the liberty of Ukraine, but the security of Europe and the security of the West, and indeed the very principles that underpin the UN Charter, on which rests the international order.
No, that's enough. That's enough. You see, you just get this. I just want to cuss him out so badly. If I ever see this dude in the streets, I swear I'm gonna let him have it. I'm gonna let him have it. Can you believe he formed his lips to say that nonsense? Days away from the Feast of Atonement. And he's talking, they get him to say together, together, together. You see, this is what I'm talking about. Oh, we'll give you a great name. We'll give you a robe. We'll give you a place at my court. This is exactly what the book was telling us about. Exactly. Exactly. It's exactly it. Man, I can't believe this Negro, man. I swear, I'm gonna cuss you out in the street. I swear. I swear, don't ever let me see you in the streets, man. I can't believe you put our ancestors in the same sentence. You're proud this, you're proud that. You should be proud coming back to these laws, statutes and commandments, staying out of people's wars. This is what I mean. We can't be doing these jobs, family. Even as Christians, even as believers, we cannot be doing these jobs. And you're putting these words out into the world. Let me stop before I say something.